What is video?
Prof, good evening, sir. Confirm if you can hear me, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, Prof, good evening, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Hello, everyone.
Prof, we can hear you. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
You are presenting your slide now, so your screen is showing now, sir.
Good evening,
Good evening,
everyone. Please, are you seeing my slide?
Yes, we are seeing your slide, sir.
Okay. Who can remind me the topic we had last week?
Research typology.
Research what?
Typology.
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Auntie. How are you?
I am fine, sir.
Good evening,
Okay.
sir.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Uncle
sir.
Patrick, how many of us are on board? Good evening. How many of us are on board for the lecture?
Good evening, sir.
We have
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
76.
You're
76.
Oh, good evening,
welcome.
sir.
Good evening. Can we proceed?
Yes. Oh, good evening, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I can hear
Well,
you.
good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. You're welcome.
Good evening,
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Oga Patrick, how many people have linked up?
We have 76 participants already.
How many?
We're expecting over 100 students that will join, over 100 or above.
78.
We have 80 now. 80 students have joined.
80 now.
So you can go on, sir. So please, you can go on.
So let's begin while others will join us. Last week, about research is what? Can anybody tell me our topic?
Prof, we locked the.
Yes.
Prof, we unmuted everybody to control the noise, because if you leave it on,
I unmuted everybody.
so that we can control the noise from the background. So I don't know if you understand what I mean. Because if I leave it on, a lot of people will be disturbing the class.
Or mute them now so that we can talk.
Okay, sir.
Because our time is counting.
I've done that, sir.
Have you done that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Should I proceed?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You can proceed, sir.
What is happening? Where did this one come up?
You can talk.
I don't know where this is coming. Why should we do?
Prof, we are not hearing you, sir. Are you speaking?
I'm not hearing anything. We can't hear anything.
You can't hear anything.
Yes, so
Hello.
I'm not hearing.
Not hearing anything here.
Prof, have you stopped talking?
Hello, Patrick. Patrick, good evening. I know you're in class. Please, I suggest everyone's mic is muted. That way, Prof's connectivity will be assisted as well. Thank you.
Prof asked me to unmute everybody, so
It was Prof that asked him to unmute everybody. But I think the suggestion is the better one, so we can move ahead.
What's going on? What's happening?
Can we do, because normally, if, for example, we have now, use them out. I think they're so the price is. I think we have a clear idea about it. So, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know.
I think we can proceed, please.
That's one. Or 2, DJ, 3, decoration, 4, entry.
So our topic today is research process.
Invites. You know.
Our topic today is research process. Are you hearing me?
Yes,
Can you
we
hear
can
me
hear
now,
you.
everybody?
We can hear you, sir.
Yes, Prof.
Okay. I said our topic is research process. And when we talk about research process, is a structured step-by-step approach to inquiry involving defining a problem, reviewing literature, designing a methodology, collecting and analyzing data, and reporting findings. So when we talk about research process, is the steps to be adopted while you engage in a research. When you adopt the procedure to engage in a research, there are sequences it must have to follow. And that is the essence of talking about the research process. Now, in a research process, planning and carrying out a research. Is categorized into problem solving, problem identification. As I said, they are categorized into we create the design, research design. We create what we call research design, identify the target population, and determine the appropriate type of sample for the study. We also have to collect data using the right instrument under category B, which is method collection. Under category C, we have data presentation and analysis.
Network is disturbing. No.
The network is bad, very, very bad.
But network pa.
Network is very, very bad. It's breaking the whole thing.
Should I continue?
Prof, please, we did not even hear the first part of it.
Network is breaking down, but then we can see through the display on your screen.
I suggest we schedule this class. We can't hear you.
Okay, so I should start afresh.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I said I will have a research process as the topic. Under research process, we'll have categories of research process. And I said I will have category A. Under category A, we'll have problem identification. Category B is method of data collection. Category C is data presentation and analysis. Category D is discussion of results stroke findings. Then category E, conclusion and recommendations. Category F, communication of results. Then let's move into details of each category. Category A, problem identification. The first step in research process involves the identification of sources of research problem. These sources of research problem include consulting abstracts, a kind of reference journal published monthly, or through your research supervisor or lecturer who is always a full research person that will give you ideas on what to research on. You can generate your topic from classroom discussions or current topic or issues and their likes, which means that you have different ways of generating research topic. We are talking about problem identification. Now you have to choose a subject to conduct a preliminary research and narrow it down to a specific manageable research question. Now the various steps of identifying a research problem basically have two parts. There are two parts to identify a research problem. Number one, deciding on what the general intention of the research is and defining in a concrete terms what is to be analyzed. And number two, identification of research problem is very technical in every research process. For a problem to exist and stands out for research, such problem must fill a research gap. Such problem must fill a research gap. Recall that in our introductory lecture, I informed you that research gap is the key to identifying a topic for your master's degree, for your thesis, or for your long essay. A research gap is a vacuum in literature which needs to be filled. A vacuum in literature which needs to be filled. That is what we call research gap.
Give me 2.
So when you talk about review of related literature, which is also part of identification of problem, review of related literature is a critical examination of previous works that are related to the research problem under investigation. Which means that other scholars have written in that area. You can get the opinions of scholars as they are presented in journal articles, as they are presented in books, as they are presented in other documents. So when you talk about literature review, you review literature in 2 categories. You can have theoretical review of literature and empirical review of literature. When you talk about review of literature, the essence of review is to make the investigator to be very conversant with the existing theoretical and empirical studies on the subject of interest. It is when you review literature that you will discover the gap for which your topic is to fill. If you have not been able to discover the gap, whatever topic you are projecting is not researchable. Until you have that gap, that is when you have a topic that you can say you can venture into it to research. Now, let's go over to statement of research question. At the level of problem identification, the researcher is confronted with many thought-filled questions on how to address the said problem, aimed at filling the research gap. Recall, when you identify a research gap, what you need to think about is, how do I fill this gap? In thinking about how to fill the research gap, we push you to begin to ask series of questions. For instance, if you want to talk about divorce as a research gap, maybe consequences of divorce, and you want to identify problems in the area of divorce, there might be questions that will come into your heart. What are the causes of, what are the things that cause divorce? For instance, you can talk about what are the implications of divorce? How do those who are involved in divorce feel? How do they behave? And when these questions come, these questions are very important in determining what we call specific objective. When you have research questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you will turn your research questions into specific objectives. From your research questions, you will have specific objective 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on the number of research questions you have identified. Now, formulation of research hypothesis. When research questions and measurable specific objectives are formulated, one can then formulate testable hypotheses. You can now formulate testable hypotheses. We'll delve into hypothesis when we introduce the topic hypothesis. But remember, I defined hypothesis in our second lecture, when I told you that hypothesis has to do with tentative statements concerning a subject matter which has not been proved on whether such statement is true or false. So when you talk about problem identification, your review of literature will help you to develop questions that will also lead to the specific objectives that will drive the research. And such will take you into formulation of hypotheses. Now for category B, method of data collection. Under method of data collection, one has to develop research design for the study. You develop research design for the study. In developing research design, you need to identify the kind of instrument you will use to undertake the study. Are you going to use interview? Are you going to use questionnaire? Are you going to use observation method? Are you going to use focus group discussion? It is at the level of the design that you will inform your reader the type of instrument to use. Now, under method of data collection, we have selection of appropriate type of sample. You need to select the appropriate type of sample that you will use in the study. When we talk about selecting sample, you cannot select the sample size without determining target population. You know, target population has to do with the set of people you want to investigate. Maybe you want to investigate men only, or you want to investigate female only. If you want to investigate female only, it means that female gender constitutes your target population, which means in the midst of both men and women, you are only interested on the women. Target population is very essential. When you identify the target population, you need to determine how many are there. Are there 1 million? Are there 1,000? Are there 500? Then from that total population that you call target population, you determine your sample size. You use a defined statistic to determine your sample size, meaning that you cannot study the whole population because of the large number of the people involved. Therefore, you are reducing it to a given sample size through a given statistics. You might go by percentage. You might use other means to determine the sample size. But when you're able to determine the sample size, you move ahead to determine the sampling techniques that you are going to use to now reach those who constitute your sample size. Am I going to use purposive sampling, judgmental sampling? Am I going to use, is the study a census study or not? If it is a census study, it means that the whole people in the population will be studied. Now, under collection of data, you have to gather information systematically, ensuring ethical standards are used. When we talk about ethical standards, there are procedures to use in collecting data so that you will not infringe on the right of your participants. your participants have right to secrecy. There are classified information that your participant will give to you. He will not like you to sell it to the public. So you need to assure your participant of confidentiality. Under data collection, we need to be informed that data is essential in addressing research questions and research objectives. Data is very essential in addressing research questions and research objectives. When we talk about data, data can be obtained from the following sources, as I mentioned before: questionnaire, interview, observation, focus group discussion, and so forth. The type of data you want to obtain will determine the type of instrument to engage. If your data is qualitative in nature, it means you're going to engage qualitative instruments. What are the qualitative instruments? Interview, observation, focus group discussion are qualitative instruments. For quantitative data, you have questionnaire as the instrument you can use to gather quantitative data. Category C. Under category C, data presentation and analysis. Data presentation and analysis. You need to first organize your data. In data organization, both numerical and verbal forms of data are usually accumulated. When we talk about numerical data, we are talking about the data that you generate that are statistically in nature. They can be counted, they can be measured, they can be calculated. And also you have verbal form of data. Now, if you have numerical data or verbal form of data, you need to arrange them, organize them in a way and manner that they will appear in your work. Data collected need to be processed and rearranged in a way that can be reasonable. This process is called organization of data. For instance, you move to the field, you distribute a questionnaire, you now brought back the questionnaire. You are expected to organize the questionnaire that came back. You distributed 500 questionnaire to your respondents, and you brought back the 500. You need to look into the 500. How many of them were properly filled? How many of them were wrongly filled? You need to sieve out the ones that were wrongly filled, keep them separate, and identify the ones that were completely filled and keep them separate. You are not expected to analyze the ones that are not properly filled. You are expected to analyze the ones that were properly filled only. Assuming you distributed 500 and 410 were properly filled, your analysis is going to rest on 410 and not 500. But in your data organization, you need to inform your reader that you distributed 500, 500 returned, and only 410 are qualified for the analysis. It is part of the organization. And that 410, you need to also put them in tabulation. When we talk about tabulation, This implies transferring data from the data gathering instrument to tabular form in which they are systematically observed. You now tabulate them, arrange them in groups. How do we be? Possibly, you can start with demographic characteristics of the respondents before you move to the substantive issues. And these substantive issues will be arranged thematically. You know, when you have specific objective, each specific objective will become team one, which means when you talk about thematic arrangement of your data, it implies that each specific objective will be turned into one team. Specific objective 1 is team 1. Specific objective 2 is team 2. Specific objective 3 will be team 3. If you have 3 specific objectives, it means that you are going to have 3 teams. Before then, your questionnaire must have been structured objective by objective, so that it will be easy for you to arrange them in table. Now, use table. Use table to present data on the attributes that can be seen and understood at a glance. As you look at the table, you will see the variables. As you look at the table, nobody needs to interpret the table for you again, because the table speaks for itself. Now, you can also use graphs to represent your data. This involves graphical representation of raw data. You can use graph to represent your data. Now, we can also use frequency distribution table. Frequency distribution table is also very important in summarizing data. You can summarize it variable by variable to show association with the frequency of occurrence. So, the next one has to do with data analysis. Remember, when you present your data, you will analyze the data. After data gathering exercise and data organization by the investigator, data analysis comes into play. When we talk about data analysis, data, they analyze systematically. Now let's go over to category D. Category D has to do with discussion of results, stroke findings. Discussion of results, stroke findings. After the results of the study have been analyzed and presented, the next step is to discuss the result. It is important to realize that discussion of results must be objective and systematic. It must be objective and systematic. It provides the opportunity for good conclusions such that factual information is emphasized. Also, the implication of the results and how the results are related to each other, and also how the results are related to other research findings must be clearly stated. This brings out the value of the research in relation to the practical situation. Now, when you talk about discussion of results, I want us to learn that your result must be discussed thematically. if you want to get it right. The way you presented your data thematically is the way you have to discuss your result thematically. Bring out the first theme, discuss the result, and interrogate your discussion of result with literature. It is very important. You are not expected to allow your result to hang. You have generated the result from the field. And also in your review of literature, which you found in chapter 2, you are expected to pull your literature and interrogate it with results. So your literature is not expected to hang. The implication is that at this level, you want to confirm the position of literature with the data generated from the field. Does it imply that the data generated from the field are conflicting with the position of scholars as reviewed in literature? So that particular information you generated from the field need to confirm the position of literature for which you have revealed. So you don't need to play with it. Your literature should not be hanging separately while your discussion is on the other end. They must come together. They must be married. You need to cement the marriage between your literature review and your data from the field. That is how you discuss. And it is at the level of discussion that you can take position. Because the position you would take must have to be informed by the results. So your result is very important in discussing your findings. So do not neglect the position of literature. And assuming you tested hypothesis, you need also to anchor your discussion in satisfying the position of literature with that of hypothesis. And also the theoretical framework for which you anchored your work, you need also to integrate them in the discussion of your findings. It is very important. So from this level, we move to category E, conclusion and recommendation. Conclusion and recommendation. When we talk about conclusion and recommendation, this is the closing segment of research process. In drawing conclusion, the investigator or researcher should be objective and limit his or her conclusion to the result obtained. Your conclusion is not to go outside the result obtained. Conclusions should be substantiated by the result obtained from the study only. This has to touch on major findings in line with the stated objectives. So your conclusion is not also expected to be separate from your objective. The same thing also applies to what we call recommendations. Your recommendations must be result-based. What do we mean? When we say your recommendations must be result-based, don't make recommendations from your head. Don't make recommendations from what you think. Don't make recommendations from what somebody told you. Make recommendations from the result you presented and discussed. The result you presented and discussed will inform your recommendations and the implications also of the study, so that your recommendations must be result-based. Don't say government need to provide this. Government need to provide road. Government need to build road. Government need to do this. Your results never carried government. Your results never carried what they will do. It is what your participants presented as the major interests are the things you need to also anchor your recommendations on. So don't make a mistake by recommending outside your result. Next one has to do with citing your sources properly. Citing your sources properly. You need to cite your sources. The major problem some of us have is that you can make quotations without referencing that. If you refuse to reference quotations made, it means you have committed a crime in research process. Citing or documenting the sources used in your research serves two purposes. One, it gives proper credit to the authors of the materials used. That's number one. It gives proper credit to the authors of the materials used. What it implies that you have acknowledged them, that you are not the owner. You have given that credit to them. Having applauded them, they will feel happy being cited. Number two, it allows those who are reading your work to duplicate your research and locate the sources that you have listed as references. It allows those who are reading your work to duplicate your research and locate the sources that you have listed as references, which means those who are reading your work can locate your study base. They can discover where you researched on. They can also quote the same people you quoted because you have already cited them. So it's very important. Now we'll have referencing style. Two major referencing styles are popular in citation formats. We have the MLA and the APA styles. The MLA is the Modern Language Association style. The Modern Language Association style. And APA, American Psychological Association style. These two are popular in citation formats today. We have too many others. We have the Harvard, we have the Royal Sterling Literature, we have too many others. But these two are the reigning types. In many cases today, we use the upper style. And the upper style has the 6th edition and the 7th edition. You can go by the 7th edition, which is the current upper style of citation today. Failure to cite your sources properly is plagiarism. Plagiarism is avoidable. Plagiarism is avoidable. It's avoidable if you cite your sources properly. Now, let's go over to the last category, which is category F, communication of results. Communication of results. Communicating the research findings is a very important aspect of research process. Communicating the research findings is a very important aspect of research process. The main reason for undertaking research is to solve problems. The findings can be communicated by publishing them in appropriate journal or present them during conferences. So communication of result is important. And let me also inform us that there are some organizations that will fund research. When they fund research, they are expecting that you give them feedback of the investigation. You prepare it as reports. And your report is expected to be communicated to the organization that funded the research. Not only that, the community that is involved, you need also to organize workshops or seminars to communicate your findings to the community. Now, assuming the research is centered on solving a problem that confronts a community. For instance, herders farmers conflict in the north central Nigeria. If you study about herders farmers conflict in north central Nigeria, and you now study Benue State and other parts of north central Nigeria, where herders farmers conflict is more pronounced. When you finish your findings, it is expected that you organize workshops for the stakeholders in that particular community where you carried out that research or within the state, so that feelers or results. So findings can be communicated through publication. Result dissemination can occur through publications, workshops, seminars, conferences, and so forth. So you cannot conduct your research without communicating. And that is why, even if it is not a sponsored research, for instance, the one you will sponsor for yourself, your master's degree dissertations or your PhD thesis, when you finish sponsoring it by yourself, you are expected to disseminate the result. You can do that by publishing an article or articles from your research findings. And let me give you an expo. If you organize your research very well, let's assume you have 4 specific objectives. Your 4 specific objectives can get you 4 articles, 4 journal articles. How? In your specific objectives, you can have 4 hypotheses because you already have 4 research questions. You have 4 specific objectives. You might have 4 hypotheses. You can move also into review of literature. You have 4 subheadings where you review literature. This will guide you also in designing instruments for data collection. When you design your instrument, you also design it thematically into 4 subunits to cover the 4 substantive issues raised in your specific questions. So when you do that, it will be easy for you. When you want to have an article published, you can pull specific research question 1, join it with literature you reviewed for team 1, pull your methodology, move into your analysis, pull the team where you analyze specific question 1 and go to the discussion of findings where you discuss result on specific objective 1, you already have an article for publication. You can do it like that and publish articles 1, 2, 3, 4 from one single thesis. In my PhD thesis in UI, I published 6 articles because I have 6 specific objectives. So don't publish one article from a whole of a PhD thesis or dissertation you have too many specific objectives. It will be a waste. So thank you for listening for today's class. If we have questions, we can throw them up. Hello? Do we have questions?
Prof,
Hello,
thank you
sir.
very much for the class.
Okay.
Go inside. Mosquito will bite you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
My question is I was able to go to this
Can you
Can we hear your
throw
question?
on the category F? My question is from category F. You say that communicating the research finding is a very important aspect of a research process, but the main reason for undertaking to solve a problem.
Okay.
So that is why I'm having some issue. I want to understand that main reason.
Okay, if you want to undertake research, the purpose of undertaking research is to solve a problem. Is it not true?
It's very true, sir.
If you want to solve a problem, you undertake a research. That is why I said that you must identify gap in knowledge. If you have identified gap in knowledge, you have done the research, you need to fill the gap. So somebody needs to know the solution you are bringing in as alternative to the problem that confronted the people or the society. Assuming you want to discover for us cure for malaria that is troubling people around the world, especially within this part of the world, you need to tell us the type of drug you are recommending as new package for malaria cure, so that people can now begin to patronize you the result to enable people get healed. So you need to disseminate it. So communication of result is key. You don't just do your result, you conduct your research and carry your thesis and put in your bookshelves. No. People need to read you. You need to publish them so that somebody can Google and see your name and see that you publish article in this area. There are some organizations that will have interest in the result you presented, and they will call you. Some people have traveled overseas because of the kind of result they publish. Any other questions?
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. There are questions, sir. Yes, sir. My name is Boraji Ismail Oluchara, sir. My question is, in a thesis, we can we have more than one hypothesis, as in one null hypothesis and one alternative hypothesis in just one thesis?
Yes. The answer is that when you talk about thesis or project, you can have more than one hypothesis. You can have 3 hypotheses if you have 3 specific objectives. You can have 4 hypotheses if you have 4 specific objectives. Now, at the level of chapter 1, that is where you present your hypothesis. Remember, I told you that we're going to have a lecture on hypothesis. But let me also inform us that when we talk about hypothesis, the one you're going to present initially is what we call null hypothesis. You present the null hypothesis in chapter 1 or some presented in chapter 2. So at the level of testing the hypothesis, you can present both null and what we call alternate hypothesis. So that if you could not confirm the null hypothesis, the alternate hypothesis will now take place and replace the null hypothesis. So you can have as many hypotheses as you want, depending on the variables of interest. Is that one clear?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir, Prof.
Sir.
Yes, Prof. I want to ask a question on
citation. Based on the question, sir.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Citation. Yes, Prof. It seems to me that you are comfortable with the upper style recent edition. I want to believe that the practicality, that is how that's cited to is in this study you are telling us now.
I didn't get your question, no.
My question is, you told us there are 2 methods, popular methods, MLA and upper style. And to me, you seem comfortable with upper style, and you were recommending that for us. Yes. And I said, I hope the details of that upper style current edition is also in this study pack you are telling us now.
Okay. What you will do is very simple. In your department may guide you on the type of referencing style to choose. But generally, we are using upper style, which is American Psychological Association style. Now, what you can do for yourself is to Google upper style, 7th edition. When you Google it, you will see it. You can download it, study it, and get yourself prepared to use it. Because we may not have time here to start talking about each of the styles of referencing. Is it clear?
Yeah, thank you, Prof.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Based on the question I asked earlier, sir, about the hypothesis, sir, what I'm trying to ask is that can we have more than one null hypothesis, not only one null hypothesis, more than one, as in 2 null hypotheses, 3 null hypotheses in a thesis, sir?
I think I have made it clear. I said if you have 5 specific objectives, you can have 5 null hypotheses. You can have 5 null hypotheses and 5 alternate hypotheses. It's not a crime if you have more than 5. But you need to be guided by your specific objectives. So you can have more than 1, more than 2, 3, 4, depending on the number of objectives you have. And sometimes you may have 2 objectives. You may have more than 2 null hypotheses, depending on the variables of interest. What are you interested in getting? So you can have more than that. But you have to be ready to defend them.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good evening, Prof.
Thank you, sir.
Please,
Good evening, sir.
the question I want to ask is on
Raise your question.
structural review and.
Okay, so my question is, what are the process of identifying gaps in literature? That's one. Then number two question is, you mentioned that you can publish you can publish three different papers from a particular topic, and you also use example of when you were doing your PhD in UI. So I really want to be sure if that statement is correct, sir. Thank you, sir. If it's possible to publish three different papers from a particular thesis topic. Thank you, sir.
You know, when you talk about publication has to do with findings or result. When you talk about thesis writing or dissertation, the implication is that you have gone to the field, you have result that is handy. The result you have that is handy need to go out. And I gave you an important information so that you will not waste your effort preparing yourself to write your MSc dissertation. At the long run, you publish one article when you have three specific objectives. Publishing more than one article in a thesis is very important. And it's so it. Let me give you an example. Assuming you talk about causes of malaria as one of the specific objectives, and you talk about implications of malaria as second objective, you can publish an article on causes of malaria. You can publish an article on implications of malaria. Are you talking about predisposing factors? You can also publish article on predisposing factors. It depending on how you coin your specific objective. So what is important is, are you able to have literature on that objective? Are you able to have methodology that will grant that objective? Are you able to have theoretical framework that will anchor that objective? Do you have result on that objective? Then you are good to go. The problem some of us will have or normally have is your inability to streamline your research instruments to guide your determination of identifying literature gap is very simple. I have explained it in our first class in school, and all of us understood it, that literature gap can be generated when you interrogate literature to show where your own study is to fill. Your study must be relevant before it becomes a researchable topic. It must be relevant. So if it does not have a gap to fill, your topic is irrelevant. You can quote me anywhere. Your study must have gap to fill. Hello?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Okay.
If you've done a research before, but you didn't publish the study, like for years, like years back, can you still publish it now?
Yes. you can publish it. But for you to be published, you need to review current literature. Don't be publishing it with literature in 2001, 2002, 2005. When we are in 2026.
Yes, sir.
You need to upgrade. Okay.
Yes, sir. In the literature review, sir.
Okay.
How many years gap until current as it?
How many years gap? I don't understand what you mean by years gap. I said your literature should be current. If I'm talking about kidnapping in Nigeria, I shouldn't be quoting kidnap cases that occurred in 2005 and 2006. I need to be current, quoting literature or sources of literature things that occurred in 2015, 16, 17, 2020, 2021, 2026. So you need to be current.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening,
Welcome.
Sir, please, I want you to throw more light on the issue of literature review and theoretical framework.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
When we talk about literature review, some departments or disciplines will title Chapter 2, Literature Review. But the general concept is review of related literature. Under review of related literature, you can review your literature under subheadings. Number 1, you can review conceptual literature. You can have what we call review of major concepts, where you have major concepts that are related to the study. You can now have another title, theoretical review of literature, where you review opinions of scholars. Then you can have another title, empirical review of literature, where you review studies that were conducted in that area. Then after that, you have what we call review of theories. Review of theories. This review of theories has to do with theories that are related to that study. You can have about 3 or 4 theories related to that study. You review them one after the other. After reviewing the theories, you can select one that is more appropriate and related to the study and call it theoretical framework. Theoretical framework has to do with a particular theory that is best fit to address the variables of interest in a particular research. You can have more than one theory as theoretical framework. But what you need to do is to present the import of the first theory and now show the weakness of that theory, and also identify the second theory that will fill that weakness. So you must identify areas of weakness for which the first theory cannot fill, and the second theory will complement it. And that is why you're introducing the second theory. So you can have more than one theory as theoretical framework. what you do is you do what we call synthesis of the two theories. You show the beginning of the first theory, what the first theory has done, and also the weakness of the first theory and the need to bring in the second theory. So we call it synthesis of the theories. So theoretical framework is very important in research process.
Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome.
Yes, sir. My question again is that how can we know appropriate theory for a certain thesis research?
Okay, it is very important on how to know the appropriate theory. Number one, you need to know the type of research you are undertaking. There are two types of theories. We have what we call micro theory, and we have what we call macro theory. We have micro theory and we have macro theory. Micro theories are those theories which deal on specific subject matter. Theories that deal on individual issues, they are micro. Whereas macro theories are theories that deal on global issues, issues of global concern. They are macro theories. Then, if your topic is on micro issue, it means that you need to look for micro theory to ground your work. If your topic is on macro issue that affect others, you need to look for macro theory or macro theories to ground your work. So that is how it will help you to identify the type of theory to use. Then each theory has its import. The import has to do with the substance of the theory. What is the theory talking about? How is the theory addressing that problem? So if the theory you identify is able to tackle the problem, it means it fits addressing that problem. Use it as the anchor theory, or what you call theoretical framework.
I can't keep your slippers here.
Yes?
I hope
I'm clear.
Prof. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your question.
Okay.
So, Prof, please, my own concern is the material for this class.
You said?
My own concern is the material for this class. Please, I would like you to kindly give it to us as usual. So many of us who could not join earlier in the network, and so we would like to go through it and be able to understand it better. The material.
Okay, I think we have already given approval at the first lecture. So at the end of each class, we send the PowerPoint, and the note will come later.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome. So should we call it a day?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Yes, Prof.
Yes, sir. I would like to ask the last question, sir. And the question is empirical study, sir. Like how many empirical study that a research can have?
Okay. Empirical study in the research. You are talking about empirical review of literature.
Yes, sir. The empirical review of the literature. Like how many for how many review? How many papers can we review inside the world empirical theory?
It depends on the department. For me, if you have up to 30, it's okay for a thesis. If you have up to 25, it's okay for dissertation. It depends on your capacity as a researcher. For me, volume does not matter, but substance matter. So if you can have up to 30 empirical works, you are citing, good. So it depends on how many objectives you have. We determine the volume of the review. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
I think we are done for the night.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we need to rest.
Yes, sir. Good night,
For
sir.
coming. Thank you for attending the class. We meet
very much, Prof.
next week, Thursday.
Okay, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you so
Sleep
much.
well.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
We
Prof.
appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sleep well.
Thank
too.
you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good night.
God bless you, sir.
Bless you
God
too,
bless you, sir.
Pastor.
Bless you, sir. Do have a good night.
Thank you, Pastor.